Hello, lovelies. This is my first video, so bear with me because I'll probably be jumping all over the place. I've had 3 hours of sleep, um, heavy ass footsteps upstairs, my neighbors that are weird as hell, you know. But anyway, this is the life that we live, where, people label us as crazy or, something's wrong with us because, you know, people covertly and constantly will try to make you look crazy. Anyways, I was born in 1978, Indianapolis, Indiana. I was put into foster care, and through the LDS Adoption Agency. Found that out this year. And in 1983, a Caucasian couple from Utah saw me and my half-brother and adopted us and took us to Utah. And my childhood was terrible. Well, that's another story. But they took us to Utah, and not even the 4th day that I was there, my mother started beating on me. And it was like everything that this woman told me I became. Instantly. You're clumsy. Oh, there goes a crate of eggs. Another beating. You're stupid. Oh, held back in kindergarten. Most embarrassing thing ever. And it was partly due to her and her abuse. She would sabotage everything around me. Friendships, church things, like, of course, they're Mormon, so everybody got sealed in the temple, I wanted to get, at 10 years old, my patriarchal blessing or whatever. It's basically like a psychic reading, I'm telling you. So she went right behind me to the bishop and said, I'm not ready. How would she not know that I was ready? She never took an interest in any of my spiritual stuff. And then I'd escape often. So I would go to this lady's house in my neighborhood, and she was just so awesome, and she was like a second mother to me, because I never really had a mom, so I was really drawn to her. My mom went to her and had said something to her, and she started treating me different and wouldn't have nothing to do with me. It was just terrible. When I started getting to junior high, I started fighting back, and my mother didn't like it because I'd get ready for school and she'd tear into me and I'd say something and leave the house. I'd come back home. My posters were torn off my wall. My room was turned upside down. Things are missing, okay, great. So I dealt with that. And then I remember on Christmas, I really wanted something really bad. I think it was a Game Boy. And she got it for me only 3 weeks later to take it away and give it to somebody else. The only thing I got for Christmas. I was always different. I was always different from my brothers and sisters. I was always the one to stand up for people when they got bullied. I was the one to speak up when there was a room full of people and nobody said nothing, and I would be the one to come and be like, what's wrong with you guys? Don't you see that happening? I'm the one that would stick out. I was very different. So I was 8 years old, and I'd have a friend that was 6, 3 years, and I'd get made fun of. They nicknamed me Wander Bonder because I would never come home. I would spend hours in the backwoods and just sit and watch, a whole trail of deers walk past me. Just in tune, with nature and just, I think it's the native, that was definitely the native in me. That was my escape, just being away from that. I started running away from home, and she couldn't do the things she used to do to me anymore. So of course, what she did, she put me back into state's custody. So I stayed in group homes and stuff until I was 18, and they push you out and give you a check and say, good luck. I didn't know where to go. I called my dad and convinced him to let me go back over there. And so I stayed there for 2 weeks. Big mistake. She started trying to hit me again, and I just left and never came back. That's when I had my first boyfriend, Kevin, rest in peace. He died of cancer 4 years ago. And we were together for a year, and then he took off. And then I had gotten a job where I was watching a little old lady, and I met my boyfriend, my second boyfriend, and he introduced me to the wonderful world of cocaine. And immediately, when I took that first hit, smoking, it was off then. You know, I lost my job, lost my place to live, on the street, doing strange things for change, you know, going into houses that I wasn't even aware of what they were about. And it's an ominous place in Utah, and that's a whole nother story. I'm gonna expose things, but I fell asleep in this house, and I woke up sore. My thighs, my inner thighs were really sore. And not even, I think it was like 2 months later, I got violently raped by this guy that, you know, strange things for change, and he pulled a knife out on me and raped me violently. And they take you to the hospital and, you know, get evidence, and they test you for pregnancy before giving you the pill. And I was pregnant, 2 months pregnant, and I was like, what the heck? But I was still in my addiction. I had my son, CPS came in, and I have a brother that is the natural son of my adopted mother, and he couldn't have kids with his wife, so definitely he was made for them, because at that time I had nowhere to go and I couldn't care for him. So they adopted him. We went through all the legal channels to adopt him, and my mother never taught me that after your first baby, after you have a baby, you're the most fertile. So what happened? I get pregnant 9 months later, and this time I had to clean up my act, because if I went through losing another child, it would have put me in the ground, because that's all I wanted in this life. I never thought I could have kids because of the things that were done to me when I was younger, you know. And I would go to this women's shelter, and it was funny because I'd use that place like a fucking bathroom. I'd go in there for 4 days, sleep, eat, and then go back out when I was ready. I was powered and restored. So it was a revolving door. But this time I stayed because I'd met a man out when I was in my using, and he's from California. So when I went into the rehab, these people started bothering him, and it scared him so bad he went back to California. And I was to stay there until he would send me a bus ticket. So I stayed there for a couple months because he had to work to send it to me. And I remember calling home, and my sister's all, ooh, you're in so much trouble you don't even know. I'm like, what do you mean? And I get on the phone with my mom. My mom's really short with me, really short. Like, how's my son? She's all, he is not your son. You had birth. Like drilling into me, dude, like something that just malicious. And then I'm all, what did I do? And she's like, you're going to find out. Cessna planes. So I hear this plane sound all the time. More prevalent when I'm trying to find my origin of where I'm from, my real true birth name, my identity, and the truth about things. So when I'd get on the internet and access things, and then I'd find something, that sound would go on. Just heavy and deep and just really low pitched. And I'd walk outside my front door and it'd just start up. But there's no plane in the sky. Where's the plane at? Okay, it's 11 o'clock at night. It's going off. No, it was loud, very loud. So, you know, this lifestyle of being a target, you know, they follow you. Like, they move into the same apartment buildings that you do at times and stuff like that, you know? And the thing about it is that I put all my, the Mormons own the DNA companies. So these DNA companies, I didn't know this at the time. So who's to say that if they're trying to hide my identity and who I truly am because of whatever reasons, that my results are correct? Because they weren't. My original last name, My cousins or whoever, you know, it should have been at the top of the list in genealogy because I've been doing it for 8 years. There are 5th and 6th cousins. So definitely not. So I called, you know, I held on to that for a very, very long time. And then I had a visitation, a spiritual visitation, because I was fed up. I was fed up with everything. Just the negativity that demon stalking brings. You know, I'd go somewhere and they would know what button to hit, being racist. And I'm a very outspoken person. Like, I'd almost get into fights. Humiliating. You know, I use the EBT card and she'd be like, you know, she didn't say nothing to anybody else except me, and she looked me dead in the eye and she's all, you're gonna use the EBT card, loud, because she knew it embarrassed me. And I'm all, you know what? You didn't ask the people after that, you know? How do you know I wasn't gonna pull out cash? And I looked in her eyes and she had that blank look, and I said, you know what? I said, you're lucky that I don't go to your boss and get you fired, and you need to get your spiritual life straight. You know, I said, you got a pretty bad one. And I could see it in your eyes. And immediately she snapped out of it. She's all, what? You know, she's nervous and putting her, you know, typing me up and have a good day. Her whole demeanor changed. And this was like a few years ago, and I realized that's when God started revealing stuff to me, like downloading knowledge, okay? I don't know nothing about phones. I don't know settings. I was real naive at the beginning. But once I stopped being unafraid and, like, not fearful going out, and instead of being fearful, I was pissed off. But I wouldn't start not like, oh, I'm gonna mess them up, you know, if they do something. No, pissed off inside. I would completely ignore things like them. I stopped feeding them. Stop feeding them, motherfuckers. Yeah, I said, cut off. You get no more meals from me. You know what I'm saying? No reactions. Unafraid, because we have the spirit of love. So if there's love there, and trust in your higher power, and trust that this is for the betterment of His glory, all that fear went away. It was immediate. I was just like, I imagined my energy just flexing. You know, when I was driving, these people were bugging me. You could actually see, you know, I'd start praying for these people as I'm driving, you know, and I'd feel like they were doing things. I'd be like, take that spirit out of them, you know, and they'd speed up and just leave, you know, or they get into a different lane, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of things it'll never go away. So these people that are afraid to share, like, your story because you're afraid of more harassment, you might as well share it, because once you're blacklisted and put into this program of behavior studies or reactions, you know, basically reactive and conditioning, and, you know, messing with your psyche, you know, who you're going to go run and tell they're following me? You know, oh, she was a drug addict, you know, they had psychological problems. They pick the right people, okay? They do this. It's a spiritual thing, you know. They are able to see in like what your path is and what your desires are, and they take that away and try to make you fail. You know, they try to take your love, faith, and hope, because you're not like other people. You're always going to be different. I wish I didn't feel as deeply as I did. I wish I didn't. Nothing is a surprise to me. That's how intuitive I am. It's amazing that I trust myself, but I don't trust anybody else. That's amazing. This is how this goes. I can help other people and heal other people, but I can't heal myself. It's kind of the flaw back to being intuitive and being like on it, like psychically and everything. So, anyways, so when I started getting upset, you know, and mad, and started building my spiritual foundation more, and I would pray. I don't care what you're doing. We all have issues, even if you're in your addiction, or especially if you're in your addiction. Don't let yourself talk you into not praying or not asking God to shield you and guide you for His betterment and to look past this battle you're going through, because you are in this world of damnation. You know, the religions would have you believe you're a terrible person and you shouldn't be communicating with God because he's not going to hear you because you're sinning. That's a lie from the pits of hell. Terrible lie. You know? So just, you know, what my personal experience is that I know that he just wants loyalty. God uses everybody that he can. In the biblical sense, all the people that he used had some flaws. Noah was a drunk. David was an adulterer and a murderer. And Peter, I think it was Peter or Paul, was an assassin. That should tell you enough right there. He uses everybody that he can. You know, he uses them. It's the loyalty that he wants, and you to try your best, you know, and do your best. But keep that steady line of communication always. Don't let religion tell you otherwise. I'm not a Mormon. I've been disconnected from them for a very long time. I don't consider myself Mormon. My spirituality is a bit different. I don't call Jesus Jesus. I call him Yeshua Loilom, Yeshua. I call God Baba, and I was always taken care of when I was out there in the world. And I had a flashback when I was 3 years sober. Like, I was just sitting on my couch and all the bad things that I went through. And I always was protected, and I always was never hungry. People would just come up off the street and give me money and disappear. And I'd be like, you know, and I look back and I'm like, it was just a flashback, and tears just started streaming. I said, thank you, God, you know, because I was like, I'm a good person. I resist a lot of evil, you know. And being raised in this religious thing, you know, and you've been abused and nothing but the terrible things in life happen to you, you start to question if there's a God, you know, and that's done on purpose to break you down, to make you lose your love, faith, and hope that is hidden from them and reserved within you. And they can't access it, but they know it's there because I like to call, you know, people like us, earth angels, like earth angels, definitely, you know, we are the ones that speak up, and in a world full of darkness like it is, you stick out like 10,000 suns to some people. So, what had happened? Okay, so the harassment ensued, and then I remember getting in the shower in my apartment, and my kids were off to school, and I hear the door shut, and I'm like, what the hell? And I remember I'd always lock my door because that's how scared I was. The door was wide open, unlocked and everything, and I didn't give nobody the key. I'd come home and I'd put something somewhere and it was set somewhere else. I got a dog, and it stopped happening less, but I came home one day and he was acting funny. He was real sick, and I took him to the vet, and they kind of think he got poisoned or got into something, and I'm careful with my animals, you know, because I have children too. So that's when I knew that they took it up a notch. So I think by a couple years later, like 2 years back, I got pissed. I got so angry, and I remember I was driving, and they do this thing where they put bright lights in your face, like brighter than shit, you know, and they know what they're doing. And then they try to act stupid, you know, and then you're watching your rear views and, you know, looking around, and, you know, I go to the store and I go into an aisle, they come into an aisle, the same people, and they go to the other aisle. Finally, I turned around and I said, can I help you? And they're like, what? You know, trying to make you look like you're the insane one, like you're paranoid or whatever. And I said, you know what? God's going to get you. I said, God's going to get you. And and if you're not aware of what you're doing, may God help you. Never saw those people again. The funny thing is, as soon as you call them out, your video camera, your taping and recording, like when you're driving or when in the store, I don't care how crazy you look, turn it on, because they start disappearing. Even the driving, like you'll notice that the people that covert stalk like that, when you put your video cam on, they all disappear. And I don't know what that is about, but they do. It does alleviate a bit, but it does not go away. Now, before I end this, because I don't want to take too long, because my phone uploads funny, wink wink, but the telephone. So maybe 3 days ago, I had a very, very powerful experience. And I'd walked out and I was going to go get my rent check, and I never look up to the sky, like during the day, never. And something told me to look up, and I look up, and I see these things all the time, but not like this. I see the intergalactic things. They look like the silver aluminum balloons, and they like shift like into different things. Like I catch a glimpse of it. Like I look up, like it's saying, hey, and I look up and I see it, and then like it moved behind the apartment building. Or I'd look up and I see it, and as soon as I took my focus off it, it was gone. I'm like, what the hell? I'm, rubbing my eyes and stuff, but it was what I saw. But 3 days ago, this was a different kind of craft. It looked like a space saucer, like that, and then it had round things like that. And I stared at it. I made sure to keep my eye on it for 15 seconds. And I put my eyes down, and then I looked up again, and it was gone. And I said to my daughter, did you see that? She said, no, I didn't see nothing. So I go into the check cashing place, and this little boy, this young, maybe 8, 17, just came and opened the door. He had this twisted ass look on his face, the enemy look, the demonic look. So I can look into somebody's eyes because I have this gift of discernment and can see what's inhibiting them. And he's all, ma'am. And I was in the window with the lady. I just ignored him. And the place started filling up, like with people, and it was empty before. I've never seen it fill up with so many people, so I knew that this was theater. And I just ignored him, and he left out. And then nobody said anything about it, which was odd. And just some of the people's faces, the twisted look of just pure hatred and being embodied and used by something. Just like God's omnipresent, this thing is omnipresent through the people. There's, I call, people that I run into that are evil, I'd be like, we don't have the same father. There's two fathers. You have that father, and the thing about it is we're free. And in a sense, we're free. It's our freedom. It's our freedom and our just love. In love, there's a freedom. I can't explain it, but you're not refined to what, you don't care what people think. You are the weird one. You don't care. You don't care. You can't stand injustice. When other people are picking on people and you feel it's wrong, you're going to be the first one to speak up. You are a defender. Definitely we should have been like a Marvel character, some kind of superhero, because that's strong, just strong. And I've never met a weak TI, ever. Like people like us, they're the strongest people I've ever met in my whole damn life. Okay, I've had a couple friends commit suicide that were going through this, and I kind of think that the insanity of this is they didn't understand what was going on and question their logic, and they couldn't take it so long. They couldn't. It's a terrible thing to go through. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy, and I didn't do anything to cause this. My mother was just a hateful person, and they're connected to the beginnings of this church, and there's just a lot of things about the church that just are disgusting and disturbing, especially to people of any color but Caucasian. But let's see. Okay, yeah, your settings on your phone. So I have this really crappy phone. It's a flip phone, like first generation. I take it with me when I go to the car. I leave my updated Android here at the house. And I do little experiments. Why not? They're doing it to me. I'm going to do it. See what's up. And I can't believe nobody's talked about this. That's a targeted individual. Okay? You cannot be scared. What will happen is going to happen. If my message can help anybody like recover their sanity and say I'm not crazy, this is happening to me, I see the same, relate, or give you the encouragement to share your story, you know, so be it. It took me 5 years to come to do this, to this video, to talk. Actually, I have other accounts where I've recorded people stalking and stuff like that, but this is the first time I've actually blah 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 in my story. And I prayed over it for a long time. Like, you know, that fear was just eating me up. And then when I had this encounter, it was just, I was downloaded with things. I don't know what that did, but it wasn't an evil craft. Like when I see at night skies, the night ones are evil. Like, they're freaking UFOs. I call them sky demons, dude. They have to be. You know, it's just Matrix unreal shit. But the daytime, when I looked up and it was like we almost had a telepathic connection, it wasn't evil. I started dabbling with my phone, my smartphone, and I'm like, how are some of these people following me? All my settings are off. And it was like almost like my fingers were moved by itself. I didn't have nothing thinking. It was like just a download of information just hit me and I started doing things. Come to find out, my phone was hacked. And it doesn't matter if I turned off my fucking settings. They would go on by themselves. My location would go on. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then something flashed in my mind. SSLs. Certified, what are they called? Let me tell you the correct thing, what they're called. They're called, trust certificates. So when you get a phone, you have this thing saying, you know, giving you like third entities, third parties can, you know, they take analytical things or blah, blah, blah. I've never read that. It's a whole novel. I read it. Something told me to read it. All the 8 years I've had a phone, I've never read it. Holy shit. Boy. No. Phones are not our friends, especially not our friends. There's a lot of flaws to it. Lots of flaws. And basically, people can spy on you. These people mess with your phone. They can track you. Your phone, basically you're like a mini cyborg. Your phone, like they have health maps. They can measure your biorhythms, your everything. It's amazing. So the smartphone is not your friend, especially if you're a target. So I started experimenting. I'd leave it at home and bring my other phone. Less disturbance. So much less. And I noticed as I dig for the truth of my origin and who I am, that's when I get the most disturbances. Like this guy in a white truck, I came out to my car, and he came out of nowhere and like wouldn't let me pull out of my car out my parking. And I got out and I said, "What's wrong with you? Wake up! What is wrong with you?" And he looked around and just took off. So that tells me that spiritual possession is happening. It's happening, and it's not a good thing. And it's been hard for me. It's been a hard life, man. I'm tired. I'm getting so tired of this. But all I can do is continue to hope, you know, and dig for the truth. You know, truth. We are truth seekers. And this is why we're a threat. Because I'm a terrible liar. Terrible liar. I'm a truth seeker. You will always stick out like a sore thumb. And if you live in fear, you're letting them win. Period. If you live in fear, you know, you've already been defeated. This is part of the tactics of it. They want to ruin your reputation, make you look crazy, insane, make you take your life. You know? anything to kill that flame that is invisible to you, but they can see inside of them that they don't have no more. So if you're going through things, I have so much more to say, but it's getting long and old, and I'm tired, and I want to eat and lay down for a little bit. But don't give up. Don't think you're crazy. Don't question your sanity, and trust your intuition. My intuition is never, everything else in this world has like let me down, even my damn dog. But my intuition, your intuition, all I can say is your intuition is, for me, is God. We are created in his image, definitely. So my intuition is God, the God inside me, leading me for his glory, you know? And there's a lot more to say, but all I know is that this entity is very intelligent, and these people, for instance, my biological mom is still alive, and the stuff that they sent me, that saying she's deceased and stuff, is a bunch of crap, you know? So how it was explained to me, my mother didn't even want me in the first place, and she is a bride for the devil. That's all it said, bride for the devil. She's my bride, and she failed. And I said, I will not, and I'm not my mother, you know? And she didn't even want me, you know? I was basically made for these people to toy and play with me and to study me, behavior-wise. So I dropped my Ancestry account. I deleted my DNA. And not even after I deleted my DNA, 3 days later, somebody hit me up on the other side. I put my DNA in, that I haven't been there for a while. So that confirmed to me that they playing with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they tried to lead me in the wrong way of who I was and where I'm from, or my real last name, because there's a lot of land and inheritance and things that are involved in, you know, people of adoption, you know? My name was changed 3 times. Let's see what else. And I just say, equip yourself, like, be brave and be fearless. When love is there, all love, you will feel no fear. Get pissed off, because this isn't fair. This isn't fair. And they've taken, and for me, they took a lot from me. So much. You know, and I thought about it, I'm like, this, you know what? I'm pissed off. You know, I've actually had a conversation with the adversary. You know, told me I was bold. You're bold, aren't you? Very bold, huh? Are you afraid? No, I'm pissed off. Never afraid. You've taken a lot from me. You're not gonna take any more from me. You know, I'm gonna expose your ass. You know, so get upset. Don't be scared. Get mad, but not mad enough to hit the person that's bugging you, because then you're gonna let them win. Get mad and pray for that person. Pray that thing. They will start running. You start praying or reciting the Bible to them, they're out, gone. And if they're not out, they're like, snap out of it and act like they don't even know you or never seen you before. And what'd you say? I didn't say anything. You know, it's just an odd thing. But yeah, your phone is not your friend. Watch your settings, and there's more to that, but I'm gonna get off. And if you heard my story, you know, comment below. If you can relate to it, comment below. And all you assholes that get on my thing and say that I'm schizophrenic, psycho, or, you know, I'm having delusions, you're probably a fucking perp, or you're just infested with demons, because I bet half these people that say that stuff couldn't even handle a day in our shoes. This is something I would never give my worst enemy. This is something that never gets better. You may get a break for a day or two, but then it'll always happen. This is something that makes you not want to trust people, even your family members or your best friends. You know, they could be covert and turn on you. You don't know why, but they betray you, or they're giving out your information, or they're doing things to you. They'll be your friend in your face, but they're starting trouble behind your back. That's why you have to stay prayed up, or have some kind of spiritual foundation about you. Some kind of spiritual foundation. Because if not, they're gonna bruise you. They're gonna try to beat the love out of you, beat the spirit out of you, and deplete you. So leave a nice comment if you don't want to leave a comment. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything, because I'm gonna roast you. Just kidding. Nah. That would do no good either. But yeah, I probably will say some mean shit, but you deserve it if you're gonna be an asshole. But love and light, and you know what, lovies, I just say it's for his will and not my will, and keep kicking until whatever. Don't be afraid.